Catholic channel Siirius XM 129 presents Just Love with your host, Monsignor Kevin Sullivan, Executive Director of Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of New York.
Welcome to Just Love. This is our weekly conversation about what's going on in the world, and we look at it through the perspective of our Catholic values, our Catholic beliefs. Tom Dobbins is here with me. I'm Monsignor Kevin Sullivan. Tom does a great job in lining up guests to make the hour interesting, so you don't just have to listen to me, you listen to people who have something to contribute. And I learn a lot during it, and I hope you learn a lot during our time together. But even as we talk about the big issues, we do say, just love God, just love your neighbor, just love yourself. And that will make our world more compassionate. It will make it more just. Let's go to our first guest. Okay, Tonia Grady. She is the CEO and executive producer at Gradygirl Productions, Inc., the author, along with her daughter, Skylar, of a recently published book, Fatherless Like Me, Growing Up Without a Dad. Tonia Grady, thank you for being with us on Just Love.
Hello, thank you for having me. How are you?
I am great, and I'm better for speaking with you. Thanks for being with us.
I'm glad to be here.
So let me tell you, I got a little bit of kind of a fan club that I got to share with you. I read the book, Fatherless Like Me, loved it. I think it is just a great book. So,
oh my God, thank you.
But I'm betting not all of our listeners have read the book. So the title is Fatherless Like Me, Growing Up Without a Dad. Share with our listeners, even though we're not on television, we're on radio, give our listeners a little bit of sense of the book.
Well, I can tell the story very well. Pretty much, I did a documentary film called Man Up, the Exploration of a Fatherless Nation. And my daughter was kind of like the spark for that because she grew up without her father. And it was a kind of like an underground phenomenon. Everybody loved the film, and I would always bring my daughter up on stage afterwards. So after going to so many cities and doing so many things, one night I came home and I said, Skylar, we should write a book about our life. And she said, yeah, Mommy, let's do it. And that's how the book came to be. It's really just about our life with a little sprinkle of fairy tale.
Whether it's real or not real, I think every life should have at least a dash of a sprinkle of fairy tale in it.
Yes, so do I.
So what's the name of the documentary film?
The documentary film is called Man Up, the Exploration of a Fatherless Nation. And that came about because I had Skylar and her daughter. Her father was not a part of her life. And when we moved back to New York City, because she was born in Atlanta, and we moved back home to New York City, so she was able to see more people and feel and touch people. So every time a man walked by, she would say, Mommy, is that my dad? And I would just be like, oh my God. And I just didn't have the answers for her when she asked where her father was, because I didn't know. And it bothered me so much that I said, I want to get answers. So that's why I called the film Man Up, the Exploration of a Fatherless Nation, because I wanted answers. And the film it's a wonderful film, powerful film. And it's very, the reason I think it was so powerful and so well received, because it was the first time that people got to hear from the children themselves. They were able to articulate how they felt about their fathers not being in their lives.
And, I know you got to watch the whole film, but can you articulate some of the feelings that the children have that they do kind of talk about in the film?
Well, I could do better than that, because this has been my life's passion.
Okay.
Since I had Skylar, and she has a dad, but he's not really in her life. Right. So pretty much I made this like my passion. My fork in the road. I'm gonna help uplift fatherless children. So it's not just the film, and it's not just the book, Fatherless Like Me, growing up without dad. It's also me going out. I go into detention centers. I go speak at fatherhood organizations. They invite me in, and I could really connect with them because I've had such a great experience seeing up close how hurt these children are. So I have kids who say to me, like, I haven't ever met my dad. Do you think I will ever meet my dad? They're asking me, and I'm a stranger. But what's so great about it is that the book and the film gave them an opportunity to say it, because most of the times people don't approach that conversation with kids because they would rather act or pretend as if it's not happening. But these kids, with Skylar, they were able to see somebody like themselves. So that's why the book was great. And I came up with the name Fatherless Like Me. That's where that comes from, Fatherless Like Me, growing up without dad. So when we would read the book, we would do, book readings, and the children were automatically connected to her because they finally found somebody else who was like them, fatherless. And as you can see, the book is very happy. It's sad too, but it's telling kids that we know you're sad. It's okay. You got to have a little faith. But it allows them to talk about it. And I think for so long, people have been ignoring the children. We have to ask the question, are the children okay? And I say, no, they're not okay.
I'm speaking with Tonia Grady, the CEO, executive producer at Gradygirl Publications, Inc. She's done a documentary called Man Up, Exploration of a Fatherless Nation, and with her daughter Skylar, a recently published children's book, Fatherless Like Me, Growing Up Without a Dad. Now, Tonia, I know you're a proud mom of Skylar, but I want the truth on this. I want you to tell me the truth on this. So how much of the book did you do and how much did Skylar do?
Well, I will definitely tell you the truth because Skylar has been by my side since I had her. When I had her, I was a producer at CNN. And so she's always been business-minded because she's been privy to my life. Okay. So she's, very astute. And I don't know if I told you that my baby is a scholar athlete. Like, she's very smart.
Whoa.
So we actually have meetings. So when we decided to write the book, we would have meetings, and I would tell her prior to the meetings, come with your ideas. Like, what do you want to write? And, we would have these little meetings, and that's how we got the content of what we wanted to put in the book. And she definitely writes. She's always been a writer. She loves to write. So she started writing her part. And what I did is I framed it, but it really is her talking about, like how she feel, like the part about that's me telling you when she used to throw the pictures of her and her dad on her floor in the room, and every time I would go in the room, I would pick them up, and I hadn't noticed that. Why does she keep doing it? Like, I would just keep picking them up, and then finally it clicked for me. She doesn't want to see the pictures of her and her dad because it was pictures of her as a baby with her father holding her, and that was her sending a signal to me that I'm not okay. So anyway, what I'm saying is that so she was able to say, okay, I really want to see my dad. When am I going to see my dad? We would have talks at the table, and the part in the book where we're sitting at the table and we're having dinner, those are our real life. So that's Skylar talking. That's her saying what's going on in her life, and she wants her father to be a part of it.
So I know the book was just recently published. How old is Skylar now?
Well, I have to say, this is the resurgence of the book, Monsignor. The book is actually, we put out the book over 10 years ago. And what happened is I would actually start just giving the book away because when we did the book, it did very well. A lot of people bought the book. We would do book signings. We had a lot of press. And over the years, it kind of like settled down like in the last maybe 3 or 4 years. So I just carry the books with me. And I actually, when I meet people that I like, I pass the books out. And in this year alone, it's had a resurgence, and everybody wants the book. Fortune Society, that company, they are buying books from me. And that's the reentry program for males who come out of jail. And think about it. The book, they love the book. Everybody loves the book. So it's the resurgence of the book. And for me to be here talking to you on a nationally syndicated radio program, my mind is blown because this book was done over 10 years ago. And now the people that I'm handing it out to, that's how it got to you. I handed it to someone else. I gave it to someone at Catholic Charities, and then they gave it to you. So it's like, it's growing again. And have you noticed that this book, everybody's doing these kind of character books now, but the book was done over 10 years ago. So I think we were ahead of our time.
Well, I'm glad you did it. So how old is Skylar now?
Skylar is actually 19 now. Skylar is in college. She is in Howard University. She's a sophomore.
So she was like about 9 or 10. When the book was first out.
Yes, and we were supposed to do, Monsignor, we were supposed to do a 3-part series with the book, but the book did so well, and we did a lot of book readings and signings that the kids were kind of like pulling on her emotionally because she would see them, they would hug her so tight and they would cry. And she got to the point till she told me, she said, Mommy, I don't want to do this no more right now. And I said, are you serious? And she said, yeah, it's too much. She said, it's bringing too much emotion to me. So we never completed the 3-part series, but now she's 19. And just maybe a couple of months ago, we decided to start the second book. So the second book is going to be out in January.
Oh, that is great. Is it going to be kind of a continuation of the first one, or
yes,
it's going to be? So give us a little bit of a preview of what we can expect in the second book.
Well, it's Skylar picking up from, her, when she gets that call that her father's coming for Christmas at the end of the book. I don't want to give it away for the people who haven't read it yet.
Okay.
But we continue right there where her father comes for the Christmas holiday, and she's explaining how, like she's seeing him for the first time because she was a baby before. She was so young, she really couldn't remember all that. That's why the pictures were so emotional for her. But she's basically communicating how he only shows up at her graduations.
Okay.
So she doesn't have a relationship with him, but somehow because she's a scholar, and he was a Rhodes Scholar. He was a Kennedy Rhodes Scholar. So she got her brains from her dad. So whenever there was a graduation, he would come to the graduation. So that's when she would see him. And that's what she's talking about.
So, Tonia, you also mentioned that she's a scholar athlete. What's her sport?
Basketball. She played ball for Bishop Lachlan.
Her first personal, second team foul.
Big person.
Yeah, they ain't got no little person. I think number 5 is the only little person.
Over there. Go, Sky, get it.
Come on, Sky. All right, Sky, come on.
Be set, be ready.
You gonna play at Howard?
No, she decided not to play anymore. But she played in elementary school, junior high school, and high school.
Okay, all right. That's so. Let me. If we go back to the title of the documentary, "Man Up," that kind of like implies a little bit of an imperative or a command. Am I reading too much into that?
No, you are not. You are dead on, because I got a lot of flack for that. I had a lot of fatherhood groups call me up and, take me to task about how dare you name a film Man Up. And, I did that because I'm a media professional. I'm a television producer. I'm a filmmaker. And I know if you want to get somebody's attention, you better get it with the title.
That's right. That's right.
And it did just that. So every time people heard Man Up, they took it personally. Like, how dare you tell me to man up? But it did what I needed it to do, which was start the conversation.
So Tonia, let me make a little bit of a hypothesis, and you correct me if I'm wrong, or you say a lot more about it. Man Up, at least in the common things, it says, hey, you better do what you're supposed to do. And exploration of Fatherless Nation, I guess, and this is me reading in, so correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's maybe not so good that kids grow up without a dad, that's not a great thing.
No, it's not a great thing, and that's why I want to call attention to it. But sometimes you have to do certain things you have to be clever on how you call attention to things, because sometimes if you don't grab them right away, they will never understand the message that you're trying to give to them. So I think I did that with the film Man Up, the exploration of a fatherless nation. It did that in the book Fatherless Like Me. That alone stopped people in their tracks. And then it says growing up without dad. But the part of the book that amazed me is because when we first did the book, Monsignor, we did it for children, but we found out very soon that children from 4 to 94, they love the book. People cry when they open a book. They cry because nobody ever, it's like a sacred place where whatever happened to your father and however old you were when he left or he died, it kind of, you're still that age at some point, and the book kind of releases those emotions for people.
Yeah, and so we're speaking with Tonia Grady, the author, along with her daughter Skylar, of Fatherless Like Me, growing up without a dad. So let me go a little bit further. And again, this can be a little bit of a sensitive topic. And so it certainly seems to me that in our nation is just filled with millions upon millions of single moms who have done an incredible job with their children. Oftentimes, a lot of sacrifice, oftentimes at a lot of pain to themselves. But we have a nation of millions of incredible, heroic single moms who have done and are doing a great job. And that just seems to me the fact. Now, having said that, and this is a little bit controversial, it does seem that if you look at some of the sociological literature and stuff like that, is that kids do very well, or maybe even a little better, when there are two parents around. And yet, but as you said, it's a fact, but it sometimes seems in the world we live in, we can't talk about that. We can't say that. Am I reading too much into the current environment?
No, well, what I would say is that I don't think that kids are necessarily doing better with single moms. Single moms are doing a great job on their own. So shout out to all the single moms out there, because I know how hard it is. And I just have one, but I only have one child. Some people have multiple kids and I don't understand how they do it. So I tilt my hat to them. But what I think is that single moms have done such a great job to codify those, fatherless children and do the best that they could do for them, that the kids kind of excel. Like Skylar, she's excelling because I knew, okay, she doesn't have a dad. She's sad about that, but I have to try to make everything else around her so great that she can not dwell on the fact that her dad is not around. And I think that's what a lot of people should do, but they don't do. They don't talk about it. I tell single moms when I go out to speak, because I speak to single moms groups, fatherhood groups, and I let them know, you have to talk to the kids. You cannot pretend that because they're doing great in school and everything that's going on, you can't pretend that they're okay. You have to ask them, are you okay? And you have to keep asking them. And not only that, you have to pay attention to them, because see, when I told you Skylar was throwing the pictures of her with her father on her floor in her room, if I hadn't picked up on that, I wouldn't have known that my child was having some difficulties with it. But it took me about 5 times, but eventually I got it. And I had to sit her down and have a talk and say, why are you throwing these pictures of you and your dad on the floor? And, and she's like, because I don't want to see them. And I put the pictures there because I thought, I wanted her to know you have a dad, even though he doesn't come to visit, he doesn't call, and you don't know him, you have a dad. But that was not beneficial for her. So as mothers, we have to be in tune. We have to pay attention. And that's what I go around and I speak about that, because I think because mothers are doing such a great job, they're kind of overlaying the fact that there's not an undercurrent. There's an undercurrent there. Those kids feel it. They might not say it. They're doing well in school and they're doing well in athletics and all of that. But that pain, if you don't start to tap into it and get them to have a way to let that out, it kind of festers and it becomes a problem later on in life, or not even later on. Some of those kids that are in the detention center, I told you I go to the detention center and I read the books to the kids, but that's how they got there, because they were carrying around pain. And then when you have pain, guess what you do? You go out and you cause pain because you want everybody to feel how you feel.
Wow. So, okay, you've been generous with your time, but I'm going to ask you for 2 more things. One, if we want to watch your documentary, Man Up, The Exploration of a Fatherless Nation, how do our listeners do that?
Well, we can figure out a way,
Okay.
Monsignor, I'm sure. But let me just tell you this. I just did a reunion, a Man Up reunion, because I wanted to see where the kids were, because the kids featured in the film. They're grown now, and some of the people. So I kind of got most of the people together. And my thing was to really talk about how powerful this film was. This documentary, Man Up, changed the culture. People weren't even talking about Man Up prior to my film. So all of that to say, I'm actually going to do a Man Up 2.
Okay.
And we're going to figure out how we can show your listeners Man Up, because it's not out right now. I have to figure that out and put it out for them.
Right, Tom, we'll figure that out. Now, how about the book? Can people buy the book?
Yes, and please purchase the book. You can purchase our book. We have an ebook now that is on Amazon. So you can go straight to Amazon and put in Fatherless Like Me, Growing Up Without Dad, and the book will pop up. It's $9.99.
Okay.
So please, it's a great stocking. Well, it's a stocking stuffer, because you don't have to put it in the actual stocking, but kids will actually have it, and then they can always just go back to it. So I kind of think it's almost better than the book.
Okay. Now,
in a way.
And do you have a title for the one coming out in January yet?
Yes, I do. Hold on. I want to just make sure. It's just called Fatherless Like Me, Reunited with Dad, because that's when she reunites with her dad. So she talks about how she gets back in touch with her father. And the third book will continue that, because, it's all of this has transpired, but the books, we didn't write them. We put them on hold. So it's coming out.
Now, again, you get that on Amazon?
Amazon, go to Amazon, type in Fatherless Like Me, Growing Up Without Dad. The book will pop up. And also for the people who want to purchase the soft copy of the book, all they could do, they could go to my Cash App, which is Gradygirl 1, which is GRADYGIRL 1. And they send, basically the book is $15. So they send $15 plus $5 in shipping and handling. So $20, Cash App me, and put their address in, and I'll ship the book to them.
Wonderful. And Tom, we're going to post all of that on our Just Love page, right? Great.
Yes, Monsieur.
I have a quick question for you.
Okay. Hope I got a quick answer.
The reason that you got the book and it kind of made its way all the way up to you was because I thought it would be a great inclusion into the gift bags that you give the migrants. You give out a really great gift bag to the migrants that come in. And that book, we're actually, when I get some money, or hopefully somebody can help us with some money, I want to translate the book into different languages. But that's where the idea came from, to put the book in the gift bag. So, because all of those kids, they're sitting there while they're waiting for their moms, they can read that book.
Well, we'll follow up and we'll see what we can do about that. And maybe we can even work together on working with you on getting it translated.
That would be excellent. I would love that.
Great.
I would love that. But I want to hear again how great the book is from you, because that makes my heart warm.
Oh, listen, as soon as I read it, I just said, this is just wonderful. It really, as you said, maybe it's a children's book, but it's also for big kids like me. It really was just such a wonderfully warm and genuine kind of laying out about how a kid feels without having a father. And I think it just was a wonderful laying that out. So would you do me a favor and you thank Skylar for me for taking the time to work with her mom in getting the book out?
I will, Monsignor Sullivan, I will. And she wanted me to say hi. I wanted her to be on this interview with me, but she's still very shy, which you find out in the book also. She's very shy. Even now at 19, she's very shy. But listen, I will tell her.
With a potential Rhodes Scholar, we want to make sure that she comes out of her shyness and shares her wisdom and her vibrancy with us. So maybe the next time she'll feel a little bit less shy.
Yes. And the new book will be out in January 1st. But I want people to also, if they want to learn more about me, they could go to my website, which is Gradygirl.com. And they can also go to my television show. You know, I have a couple of television shows. I'm a filmmaker. I have a film out. Let me tell you about my film, Monsignor. Do we have time?
Sure. Tell us a little bit about your film.
Okay. I have a new film. Well, that I did. It's called For the Love of Diggs. And this is basically a film about a man who was my next door neighbor. And he was kind of like a savior to all of the kids in the neighborhood that we grew up in Brooklyn. This was around the time when the crack era was going on and a lot of people were on drugs and the kids were kind of fending for themselves. So this man in the community, he took it upon himself to make sure we were safe. He gave us activities. He started a basketball tournament. He would take us, he gave us an after school center to go to, and he really loved on us and he kept us safe and he let us know that somebody was looking out for us. And this man did this for over 45 years and nobody said thank you to him. So myself, I knew he was getting up in age. I said I wanted to be able to give him his flowers while he was alive. So the documentary is all of the kids who were young who come back and they give the love back to him. You see that title again, For the Love of Diggs, because his name is Thomas Diggs. And I was able to do the documentary myself. It's 90 minutes long and it's beautiful. Maybe you can have a screening for me.
Well, we'll follow up. We'll see what we can do. Listen, you've been generous with your time, and thank you so much. Tonia Grady, the executive producer of Gradygirl Productions. You'll find out all about her work, and we'll post the information on our website. Thanks for being with us on Just Love. And Tom, I think we'll take a break now, and we'll be back in just a moment on the Catholic channel, Siirius XM 129.
Hi, my name is Skylar and I live in Brooklyn, New York. I love riding my ripstick, playing basketball, and most of all, playing with my favorite stuffed animal, Miss Sophie. Hi, I'm still Skylar, just a tad bit older now, and this is my book, Fatherless Like Me, Growing Up Without Dad. It is now available as an ebook on Amazon for $9.99. You can also get a soft copy for $15 plus $5 shipping and handling. This works as a great stocking stuffer, so get yours now.
They like who that hold up is that Ronnie E.